Hi there, scrubbers, this is Zaefnyr. If you've ever wanted to, or, all while you can dodge roll through Zeds with iframes, you'll love this game. Oh, and, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. State of Decay 2 is a third-person action zombie survival game where the base premise is to survive as a community of survivors dressed as if they're a cult in a government-forgotten USA. You'll be looting the gun store for ammo, trading with neighboring communities, going absolutely schizo and committing local genocide before you even think of the possibility of a cure for those zombified. And much more. I want to say that most of my time spent in this game's campaign was on the Trumbull Valley map, and that it's probably the most fleshed out one too. You'll notice that there are 3 different game modes on the main menu: Campaign, Heartland, and Daybreak. Campaign is the normal mode, Heartland is the Trumbull Valley story mode, which follows up with what happened in the first State of Decay, and Daybreak. Daybreak is the most boring thing in this game. It's just defend the objective and you get this currency you can use in campaign. I didn't like it, but you might, so give it a shot. The story. There's not much story in State of Decay 2 campaigns, unless you play the map I mentioned 7 times in this fucking script, or Heartland. The first State of Decay was fixated around the getting out of here idea, and spoiler alert, you do, through the only exit available in the Trumbull Valley map in the second game. By the way, that map has more story missions than all the others, and it has no bullshit canyons and impassable mountains in the middle, so try it out first. In the campaign mode, you'll try your best to survive on whatever difficulty you choose. During your game, you will encounter main story missions if you play on Trumbull Valley, but the main goal is to blow up all plague hearts in the area and completing your community leader's legacy. This legacy goes from asserting dominance as a warlord to setting up a commerce summit as a trader. In Heartland,
that's another one down,
which you should try out after you familiarize yourself with the game's mechanics, you play as one of 2 groups who recently came to Trumbull Valley, each looking for someone who was an important part of the first State of Decay's world and story. Hands up.
Hey, I can almost see right down the barrel.
You have 5 seconds to skip the rest of the story section if you don't want to have Heartland spoiled for you. You've been warned. Granted, it's not that long. You get to choose between the groups. Each has their own personal interests in the valley. One of them is looking for a family member that they never met, Mickey Wilkerson, and the other is looking for Ray Santos on behalf of Lily Ritter, the pesky, annoying radio girl from the first game who's now somehow the leader of the network. They're sort of the good guys, or the trader builders of the ecosystem, as opposed to Red Talon being the mercenary-like private guards who help the military and sometimes do shady stuff for profit, like the coal mine they force survivors to work in exchange for their protection. Anyway, after you make contact with the person you're looking for, you get to do a quest for them to either steal from an enclave or defend it against the Wilkersons. Totally unrelated to this whole personal affair is one of the military guys who's been, as you find out in due time, helping Dr. Hoffman find out how to make a weapon against the plague walls that infect Marshall. Turns out you gotta throw a bomb made from bloater samples into it, then shoot the glowing part until it turns dark again, repeat twice and you're done. My problem with this is how anticlimactic the whole thing is. Despite the fact that all zombies, including freaks, are ridden with blood plague, resources are abundant, and it's extremely easy to have way too many guns, ammo, and explosives. Hoffman tells you to rest, resupply, take a break, let someone take over between each plague wall, but since you can just use first aid kits and plague cures and come back in minutes, you can just finish this whole part of the game mode in about half an hour when it's meant to take way longer. The plague wall mechanic is fun to play with, and it would have been interesting to see it further develop, or have something akin to a build-up, where you have a final boss after a specific much bigger plague wall. Instead, what they did was to give you 4 plague walls to go past, and then boom, you found Cleo or something, you get 2 achievements and sent back to the main menu screen. I had no expectations, and I still felt like it could have been so much more. Now, unlike campaign, in Heartland, everyone you recruit has some sort of background and unlocks a very powerful base facility or facility upgrade. You have to complete a mission for each of them prior to them joining, and it goes from skilled mercenary fled his unit to gay paramedic lost his husband.
I haven't seen my husband Isaac in weeks.
Ohio, Onei-chan.
What's even more interesting, however, is how these named characters like Isby, Dr. Hoffman, Chavez, Santos have separate quests in the Trumbull Valley campaign map to strengthen their importance in the Valley's story and to give us some extra context to the roles in it.
Clio is a digital system designed for the widespread
Gamer girl. You'll be needing a lot of resources to maintain your base and to upgrade it. Oftentimes, buildings are self-explanatory as to what resources will be found in them. Garages usually have materials and fuel. Fruit stands and restaurants have food. Veterinary stores, pharmacies have medicine. You get the gist of it. Just be careful when you fast search, as you might alert the horde. Stay alert for the weapon crates on all the different maps too. They are unmarked locations with good loot and sometimes with interesting background too. Maybe cannibals from Trumbull Valley started the zombie apocalypse. We will never know. You could also look up the weapon case locations on the wiki. It's not cheating if there's no rule against it. Eventually, you'll find out about the bounty broker too. He's an interesting fella. He gets you to do regular or crazy shit in return for special items. How the hell am I gonna drive over one, let alone two ferals? Better yet, how am I supposed to destroy a plague cart in close combat?
Oh. Just like that, it's history.
Well, since the rewards are usually on par with the demands, you'd best find a way yourself. Enclaves or other communities made up of random NPCs will give you a predetermined type of quest in order to improve your relationship with them. When you become allied with them, they provide a passive bonus, you can trade for better prices, or can recruit one of their survivors for free. In Saints Row 2, you can visit the Los Carnales and the Rollers cribs even though you can't really interact with them, and in State of Decay 2, with either Heartland or the recently added Trumbull County map, you can look around among the others, but specifically the first base from the first game, the church. You even have a quest there. It's refreshing to see the place how they wanted it to look initially, with much more details than before. It's also nice to see old spots like the Wilkerson's house or the biggest State of Decay 1 base. Of course, they're not playable. The devs decided against recycling and I respect that. Also, it might be possible that remaking old bases only makes the old game's base slots look bullshit. So there's that. There's a certain condescending theme through the game. Oh, the cloud with the lightning means that they're angry. And your interactions with the NPCs. The communities on your map will radio you every now and then so you can improve your relationship with them via favors for them. Sometimes it's helping them out with a lost member, clearing an infestation, or simply items or resources they need. You don't get to tell them you agree or disagree helping them unless you go right to their front door, but whenever you refuse to help a community and they leave the area, your character goes, we should have helped them, or one of your community members says, I like them, we should help our neighbors next time, as if the writers of these Radiant quests are passive-aggressively condemning you for being bored of Radiant quests and ignoring them. Oh, how I miss finding joy in playing Skyrim. There's some bugs in this game specific to open world type games. Usually has to do with zombie spawns or their animations, but it's not too immersion breaking. By now you might be wondering what any of this has to do with the title of the video. Well, I present to you similarities to Dark Souls. You know that sound you get in Dark Souls every time you enter a new area? State of Decay 2 has that too. The hitboxes. Sometimes. They're good and well tuned for such an action-packed open world game. I have to give them credit for that. It's just that sometimes it really makes you feel like you're the Bear 60 class of the zombie age when getting grabbed by zombies. There's an impressive lack of poise or stagger resistance in this game. If you get hit while sprinting, you'll get fully halted in your tracks or straight up interrupted when you get hit mid-attack. Just like Dark Souls early on. You can dodge. Dodges have iframes, even if it's not a roll, as the roll is unlocked with a special cardio skill. It's obvious how you use this, especially if you click because of the title. Also, stamina management. Sprinting, attacking, dodging, all use up more or less stamina based on how way down you are, what skill specialization you have, and how advanced they are. The higher the skill, the less resources used. Outposts are similar to bonfires in that you can change your character, restock consumables, and have a temporary safe zone away from your home base. They also provide extra beds, daily resources, artillery support, water or power depending on what type of outpost they are. Oh, and if you play with multiplayer turned on, that's when it gets real. You can't pause the game, much like in Dark Souls. Combat is tons of fun and easy to pick up. You hit stuff until it stops moving indefinitely, or you shoot them, preferably in the head. Weapons have stats of their own, but basically, blunt, high knockdown, good for fighting big groups. My favorite is the metal bat because it goes clang clang clang. Bladed, high dismember and insta-kill chance, usually quiet and although animations are pretty janky, they work well with swordplay. Heavy, high impact knockdown, good for stun locking pharaohs, and huge area of effect, but really slow. And then there's the guns, split between sidearms. Pistols, good for short range headshot streaks. Assault pistols, good for spawning pharaohs. Revolvers, never break but very loud and very powerful.
Damn, I'm good.
Good to pair with gunslinging for fast reloads. And primary arms. Crossbows, slow to load but as quiet as the bow in Far Cry. Assault, any and all fully automatic guns. Shotguns, huge knockdown and short range damage. Rifle, any and all semi-auto or single action guns. Includes, good for precision headshots. There are also grenade and gas launchers. They're actually pretty bad. Use at your own risk. Besides the common zombies, Zeds, spiders, or whoever you'll see them mentioned throughout the game, there's freaks, or special zombies. They're easy to kill, for the most part. Screamers will stagger you if you're too close to them when they, scream. Because they're so loud, screaming. They attract all the surrounding zombies to their location, and that usually means you have to deal with more than one, screamer. They're the most common freaks and die in one shot to the head in both forms. Bloaters are the fat freaks that blow up and fill the air with corrosive gas that reduces your health and stamina until you rest. If you shoot them in the head, you'll leave a fun anti-vehicle mine for later. Juggernauts are the fat freaks that resist and do a lot of damage. Usually, you want to kill them with explosives or extremely powerful weapons like the anti-material rifle or shotguns. Use of incendiary and melee weapons is not advised, but you're welcome to try. Pharaohs are extremely fast, and if you play on lethal, may God have mercy on your soul. If you have good aim or the gunslinging perk, they die in one shot to their charging head. That is, unless you're being chased by a blood pharaoh who only appear in lethal. In that case, you need to break their head armor and then shoot them. That, or kick them 20 times with a heavy weapon equipped. Oh, fire's good too. Every once in a while, infestations will appear on the map. They come in the form of a bunch of zombies inhabiting a certain place, like a house or a garage. If you clear them, the character you were using gets extra standing points and you gain some influence, which you usually use in trading with other communities or asking for favors over the radio. The easiest way to clear infestations, since they're made up of normal zombies and one or a few screamers, is to throw a couple fire bombs in there and it's done. My favorite way of clearing them is with a marathon stealth character. It's not efficient, I just really like the animations. Plague hearts are, in a way, similar to infestations, only harder. There's a plague heart that you have to destroy. It's extremely resilient and it spawns blood-plagued zombies the more you hit it. The fastest way is to throw a bunch of explosives onto it and hope for the best. Watch out for the pharaoh that it spawns. Recently a patch was added that made it so that you can't establish outposts close to any existing plague hearts, so now you have to destroy them to do that. There's also the base building to be concerned about. Certain bases require more people to live in, and the more people, the more beds and food are required, obviously. The bigger the base, however, the more facilities you can build into it. As a rule of thumb, you want a workshop, an infirmary, and some kind of bedding, so that tired members can rest and the injured ones can heal. Later on, the workshop will be useful for crafting bombs and attachments, and the infirmary can be used for crafting painkillers. Some large facility slots can be used up for leader-based buildings or leader projects, like the trade depot if you choose a trader leader type. You can't go wrong if you go trader or warlord. You can summon resource traders with the former and can craft your own ammo with the latter. Sheriff and builder aren't bad, and in a way they're similar to the other two in the mission format. The sheriff attacks hostile enclaves and the builder focuses on base defense. The game has a low skill floor and an extremely high ceiling, mainly separated by the actual difficulty settings. I could guarantee you that if you finish a standard run and you start feeling like it's too easy, you'll probably have fun in nightmare mode too. For the most part, difficulty is direct and artificial in that it simply increases the amount of plague hearts and zombie spawns and lessens the amount of resource bags that you find on a map, simply turning stealth into more of a necessity. However, the closer to lethal you get in difficulty, the more freaks become blood-plagued, and on Nightmare Lethal you even start encountering hordes contrived entirely of freaks too. Please don't play on lethal if it's your first time. Characters all have the same basic skills which you upgrade via specific actions, like increasing cardio by running or shooting by using guns. But there's more! Once you reach max level with a skill, unless it's a quirk since those always stay base level, you are provided with 2 skill upgrade choices and can further increase the skill. Don't you love grinding? I know I do. The worst part about this is that there are 4 upgrades for each skill, but you only get to choose between 2 of them. The grey one is available at all times for all characters, and the yellow one is based on the character's background, or is random. Sometimes you get 2 yellows, too. You can reset the upgrade with a special book from a special trader, but you get a massive hit to your XP rate. Driving in this game feels okay. Handling the vehicles feels pretty good and smooth, until you use the van, or you try to get on or off the sidewalk. Oh, and if you played the first State of Decay, make sure you avoid crashing into hordes. You don't want to blow up before you get home. It goes without saying that the selling point of this game series is actually the car door mechanic. Don't worry, it's there. State of Decay is the kind of game where, as mentioned before, the story doesn't matter anywhere nearly as much as the gameplay. Small details matter a lot, and it shows when you deliberately choose to bang your lead pipe on a downed zombie's head instead of just finishing it, because it sounds good. Or you go out of your way to use blunt weapons specifically because there's a golf finish animation that's satisfying to watch and hear. Love me a fresh clank clank boom in the morning. The gunshots and the explosions are really well recorded too, mind you. There's multiple incendiary consumables, and obviously Molotovs are worse than napalm grenades, but the sound effects of fire are simply spot on.
Buildings are on fire, sire.
So are the multiple guns with their different calibers. The bigger the round, the louder the boom. Oh, and since zombies in this game are allergic to loud noise, there's different kinds of noisemakers just so you can get out of a situation or escape a botched up quick search. One such noisemaker is the firecracker, which you can craft at a workshop too. You can, however, find fireworks, boom boxes, or just shoot a gun since Zeds pile up on the source of the noise anyway. The UI is so easy and intuitive to use that I've ended up wondering, why don't more action games use right-click to exit UI menus instead of the escape button? But it also led me to believe that the higher the budget, the more fine details like the UI and its sounds are. Music in this game does everything right. It's comparable in style to the Fallout Vault ambient music, made by the one and only Mark Morgan, whose Wasteland 3 music is finally on Spotify, by the way, check that out. Through his contribution to the game, Jesper Kid shows that he knows what emotions the game needs to stir up through its ambience, and at the same time, that he understood the assignment perfectly. There's nothing like driving through Spencer's Mill and hearing along the perimeter. The soundtrack is sometimes eerie, creepy, and other times downright adrenaline pumping. Other times, it's like the soft glimmer of a shimmering light in the abyss. Oftentimes you will find yourself home, managing your base, stocking up on supplies, perhaps even upgrading a car or trading with the local merchant when it will hit you. Hills of My Hometown will play unexpectedly, and if you own a pre-sculpted RTX 2060 like I do, the graphical fidelity of the game might just stagger you for a second and leave you a little contemplative. Now, you might be thinking, what exactly should we be contemplating? Well, I believe it's the right time to deepen our knowledge pool when it comes to this game's graphics. As observable the intricacies of the sound effects may be, so are the many visual effects of the game. If you can play the game in ultra graphical settings, do it. The god rays, object shine, and overall texture detail this game has, and the way they combine to create the game's look, don't do my words justice. Not to mention YouTube's downscaling. When you start noticing smoke coming out of your car's engine, you will also hear it choking and trying its best not to prank you. Plague zombies make different noises from normal zombies, are usually faster, and are considerably redder than their regular counterparts. Something that the folks over at Undead Labs obviously improved is the texture details and 3D models. Vehicles have much better dents and bends after mowing through too many walls, Zeds. The buildings look more real and the decals on them are much more readable now, and the amount of obstacles is much more abundant, especially wrecked cars on the road. The skies seem to simulate real-life cloud movement. They look like a bunch of gases moving through the sky. There's a little problem though. Look here. You see how cool this sunrise part of the cloud looks, right? Now, see here. If for some reason this part looks pixelated, I don't know what happened, but this inconsistency in the cloud textures when the moon and the starry sky look amazing gives me mixed feelings. Let me know down in the comments what rating you give the YouTube compressed cloud textures. The scenery is set well, and as much as third-person games allow, you will feel immersed, if you disregard the fucking radio. Each map has a different biome and environment style. While the music stays the same, you will definitely feel different running, sneaking, or riding around the different landscapes of the available maps. There are certain spots on each map where you can simulate the vistas from Guild Wars 2. You just go there, wait for sunset or sunrise, and then wait for the god rays to blind you since you're playing at 2 AM. The glowing eyes on the zombies are truly terrifying, even more so when you're out of ammo, stamina, consumables, it's the middle of the night, and an entire horde of them just barged into the house you were looting. State of Decay 2 does a great job at showing what horror is meant to convey in the zombie genre. The glowing eyes help a lot if you want to improve your shooting skill at night too. Night is abysmally dark in this game as well, so brace yourself for some 24-hour shifts. The first time I played State of Decay as an arcade game on my Xbox 360 a long time ago, I didn't know what I was signing up for. Now I'm glad I picked it up and that I've gotten to the point where a second improved game exists. 5 occupied outposts out of 5 slots. A polished game that can be fun or downright dreadful. Stay tuned and join the Discord server, Scrubbers. There's more coastlines I want to show you in the future. I sincerely appreciate every one of you watching my videos to the end. Have a clear sea.